Hi, my name is Brigid Schlegel. I'm a real estate agent based out of Austin, Texas. Since you found your way to my video, thank you so much. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. There are thousands of agents in the Austin market, and I just truly believe that who you choose to work with makes all the difference in your experience. So that's why I wanted to take a couple minutes to introduce myself, share my story, and give you a little insight into just how I work. If it feels like we might be a good fit, I'd love for you to explore more of my content, join my monthly newsletter, or just reach out and connect directly. So a little bit about my background. I grew up in California, actually, on the coast in a little town called Ventura. You might have heard of it. I was a competitive swimmer and I ended up swimming my way all through a Division I college, University of Pacific, which is actually in Northern California, Stockton, Central Valley area. In college is where I actually met my now husband. He was also a swimmer, and he's actually the native Texan in the family. He grew up in the Clear Lake, Houston area, and he is ultimately the reason I ended up moving out to Texas in the first place, but I'll get to that part a little bit later. Before real estate became such a big part of my life, I graduated college with both my bachelor's and master's in communication. I was focusing on public relations at the time. I also worked part-time as a sports action photographer and ran a small business out of my living room. In that small business, I was considered an indoor vertical farmer, growing microgreens and sprouts, which I sold to a bunch of local chefs on a weekly delivery route that I put together. And also I had a booth at my local farmers market where I just had a bunch of regular weekly customers. Whenever I say vertical farming or indoor farming, people automatically think I'm talking about, growing a different type of greens. Not the case. I was purely growing vegetables. I just have to share that disclaimer so nobody gets the wrong idea. This was my first entrepreneurial venture ever. And just looking back on it, I'm so thankful for that experience and kind of proud of myself for just taking that leap and starting from absolutely scratch, zero. I had to learn everything on the go, from the marketing to the actual growing of the microgreens and running the delivery route and managing payments and making sure my margins were good. There was so much that I had to learn. And also just the experience of not having a boss and having to just figure it out all on my own without, a guidebook or somebody telling you what your work hours are supposed to be. So that was just a wonderful learning experience. I got my first real estate license in 2020 for the state of California. Growing up, my dad was also a realtor, so I was around it quite a lot. But for my 21st birthday, he gave me an absolutely incredible gift that I will never forget. He bought me real estate courses. And at this time, I had no real direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. He just thought, do the classes, learn about it more, and see if you like it. So it took me a little bit of time, but I did finish the courses. I got my license. And even though I didn't start using it immediately because I was still in grad school at the time, thankfully this was just a turning point in my life that was basically the beginning of something wonderful, and I just didn't know yet what was to come. However, there was one hiccup in 2022. Even though I had my license and had freshly graduated from grad school, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, had landed a good paying job out in Missouri City, Texas, which is kind of southwest Houston, Fort Bend area, if you're not familiar. Since I hadn't yet started a full-blown career, I didn't really have a good reason to stay in California. When we started comparing apples to apples of the opportunities and what we had in Texas versus what we could get here in California, it was really kind of a no-brainer, to be completely honest. We basically just quickly realized that Texas had things to offer that California just didn't for people our age. And that was the opportunity to own real estate earlier in life and ultimately start building that generational wealth that we're hoping to acquire over time, just starting that sooner. So at 22 years old, my husband bought his very first property ever in Missouri City, Texas. I paid rent and I retested for my real estate license for the state of Texas this time. Even then, we weren't just thinking about owning a home, we were thinking like investors. We knew this wasn't going to be our forever home. So we looked at that purchase from day one as a house that would eventually become a cash flowing rental property. This was the true beginning of where we saw real estate as the most powerful path to building long-term financial freedom and stability, and we still believe that. So then during the next 2.5 years living in Houston, Texas, I began to build my career as an investment real estate agent. I worked primarily with flippers or buy and hold investors looking for single family houses. I did a couple multifamily deals, but ultimately ended up closing over 150 homes in that short amount of time. This was another super fast-paced era in my life that I'm so thankful for. It taught me so much about how to run numbers, evaluate deals, problem solve anything, and navigate some pretty difficult situations. These are skills I still use every day when I'm working with residential buyers or sellers. Then we had another round of major life changes. In 2024, we got married, we went on our honeymoon, and then as soon as we got back, my husband's engineering career brought him out to the Austin area. So we were faced with another hard decision of where should we live? Do we do distance? Do I move? All of those questions going on at the same time. Since I was doing so well with the investment real estate in Houston, I was quite hesitant at first, especially because moving locations when you're doing real estate is really difficult because it's a networking business. So when you move, there's no guaranteed income, of course. So I knew that if I moved, I'm basically starting from square one. Of course, I still have some great connections back in Houston, but I can't just rely on those contacts if I move out to an entirely different market. So still though, I did still maintain my business out in the Houston area for a couple months while we started to tour around Austin, experience a little bit more of the city, drive around, look at a lot of houses, and surprise, surprise, I just fell in love with Austin for so many different reasons. Everywhere I go here, I'm envisioning having our future kids with us. There's so many activities, so many cool places to go and see, and the city is so active. There's great restaurants. I love the different types of real estate here. And eventually I did make the leap to the Austin market, and I have not regretted it for a moment. We ended up buying a new construction home down here in Easton Parks, which is a beautiful master plan community in Southeast Austin. Not only that, but we also successfully paid off the mortgage in full for the Missouri City house, and it is officially our first cash flowing rental property. That was another proud moment for us, and it has reinforced my commitment to live as debt-free as possible and help others also build wealth through smart and strategic home ownership. Not every investment in a property has to be a fix and flip. Every purchase you make in real estate is an investment. Today, I specialize in helping first-time home buyers, those interested in new construction opportunities, or those who are looking to relocate to the Austin market or within the Austin market. Also, for those of you who are like-minded, thinking like an investor, I focus a lot on making sure that it is a strategic move and it is focused on wealth building through all real estate purchases. When I'm not working, you will likely find me out on a hike, planning a game night with a bunch of our friends, trying out a new restaurant or coffee shop, or shamelessly cuddling my two cats, Mr. Bagel and Madam. Getting a little deeper and more vulnerable with you, I'm actually just at the brink of 4 years sober at this stage. I haven't had a drink since August of 2021. I truly have no issue with other people drinking, and I actually didn't have a severe problem with drinking, but without it in my life, I have felt a lot more clear-headed and more in control of my goals and the direction of my life. Sobriety has simply provided me with more stability in my relationships and my career, and it has shown me that I can be committed and consistent to anything I put my mind towards. The real reason I'm sharing this is because instead of getting drinks to get to know one another, I am more than happy to do a meeting over coffee. So send me a message if you'd like to get caffeinated together and talk more about real estate and your goals. Here's what I believe. Who you work with matters. As your agent, I'm not just here to unlock doors. I'm here to be your long-term partner in your real estate journey. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, relocating, or searching for your next luxury property, my approach is simple. I care about trust, long-term strategy, and customized experiences based on what you need. And my mission is simple: to help you build generational wealth with every move that you make, because that's what I care about doing for my family, and I'd love to help other people do the same. I've built my business on relationships, not transactions. So when you work with me, you'll get an agent that is there for you before, during, and long after the closing. On this channel, you'll find everything from Austin market updates, neighborhood deep dives, home tours, smart tips, reviews, and anything else I can think of that might help you make better educated and more confident real estate decisions. Also, each month I have a value-packed, all about Austin newsletter featuring top Austin events, housing market insights, new construction highlights, more tips for buyers or sellers, local spotlights, and a monthly giveaway. So if any of this sounds interesting or useful to you, please subscribe. You can also find the link to my All About Austin newsletter down in the description below. And also, if you'd like to do a conversation over coffee, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always looking forward to those. Thanks again for watching. I will see you in the next video.